guys, welcome back to Gigi and the Teddies. Look, Gigi taught me how to talk. We hope you enjoyed this episode. It's about ascension for beginners. Good morning, Gigi.
And good morning to you, Teddy. What a great job you did. That was your first time. Fantastic. Great introduction, by the way. And welcome back from me, Gigi. Now, the last time we left off with talking about fear. And we had started to talk about adolescence and fear, how that's affected and all the fears that come up with adolescence. And yet, all through school, my mother kept saying, this isn't going to matter in the future. And sometimes I don't think it does. You get past all that and think, why was that all so important during high school? Or why was that so important, whether or not they like the clothes I wear? Because you enter a different world. It's like going into another realm. Once you're from high school and you go out into the world and you're working and, you're meeting different people. And at first it was a little scary for me. I'll admit that. I didn't know exactly how I was going to handle the adult world. But we get through it. We live through it all, don't we? So, but it would be much easier if we didn't fear it. Okay? And this is why it's important to start to learn how and why we fear things. Why do we fear things? You have to answer that for yourself. That isn't something that I can sit here and answer for you. But it's something that happens to everybody. No matter how confident somebody comes across, no matter how, they all have fear. All of them. There are still things that I think, ooh, but the idea is not to let it stop you. That's where the problem comes in. The problem isn't having the fear. The problem is allowing the fear to stop you. And this is when you're not grounded. You allow it to control you. You allow it to stop you. You give it that control. And that's what you have to understand. Okay? Because it follows us then from adolescence into adulthood. We're afraid of new jobs. We're afraid of saying this. We're afraid of saying that. We're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. We're afraid of what people are going to think. All right? Look at any aspect of your life that you've had difficulty moving ahead with and see where fear isn't the base of it. Now, what I love, and you look at evolution, and fear has taken on different, shall we say, I want to say names. Let's just say names, okay? So I look at depression. For a long time, that's all you heard. How depressed everybody was. They were depressed about this. They were depressed about that. And then all of a sudden, everybody was on some kind of medication for depression, and depression lost its power. And most people will get on the medication, and then they, and it takes that feeling away long enough for them to look at reality. And they can get to the point they don't need the med. Oh, you can be told it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and this is going to balance it out. But all they're doing at that point, I feel, is treating a symptom of something. So rather than just treating the symptom, then we have to find out, why are we depressed? And that is a struggle for some people to figure out, because that, again, takes being honest with yourself. All right? Nowadays, it's like that's almost gone full bore the other way. And instead of sitting around sad and depressed, everybody's got anxiety. I thought, wow, at least fear is taking on a different, it's trying. You have to give it credit. It's gone from being depressed to trying. It's almost like I picture it as being the same entity working around us, and it's an energy, and it's trying to go through its own ascension. And so now, rather than sit around and have everybody be depressed and sad, it's got everybody like all hyped up and they don't know what to do with all this energy. It feels like energy rather than being slow. And I know it's not a funny subject, but we have to treat some of it with humor. You see, for my whole life, I went through depression, I went through, a lot of times humor was my survival. You have to use whatever it is that helps you to get through the tough times. There is something positive that can help you get through the tough times if you admit it, if you look for it. If you want to sit back and just be depressed and not look for the things that can help you get through it, that's fine. Maybe music helps you. I love music. I love it. And if you notice, if you play a high impact, upbeat music, it's very, very difficult to be sad. But sometimes we resist that and we go, oh, I don't feel like listening to that. I'm depressed. How silly are we? Really? When you think about it, it's like saying, I don't want that good food. I'm hungry. What do you mean? I want junk food. I'm hungry and I want junk food because it's horrible for me. Think about how that sounds. Yet it's true. It's true. But we all do it. Every single one of us. Even the healthiest person out there has those days. They may not tell you about them. Believe me, they have them. Okay? So what is anxiety? Is it a fear? It can be, if that's what you want to call it. I like to call it avoidance. It's avoiding something that we feel fear about. Now we've got, 2 filters in front of us, okay? I call them filters. I don't call them blocks. I call them filters because to me, if you want to work through something, there's a way, okay? And we're filtering through all those things. That's the way I look at it. That's what works for me. If it's a block, like some people will say you're blocked, doesn't that sound more difficult to get through? Just my way that works for me. It may not work for you, but find a way that works for you. Find the terminology that works for you to get past these things that you've told are impossible. All medications do is slow down the process for you to get better. They really do. Because what they do then is they're simply hiding God's way of showing you that things aren't right inside. I know the feelings can be difficult. But anything worth having is worth the struggle to get to it. Ascension, the process is difficult. But I can tell you, the end result of it, as far as I've gone so far, because I think it's infinitive. I think it goes on forever, and it's whatever you want to make it. But I sit here, and there's nothing that really upsets me. There's nothing that really worries me. Can they catch me off guard? Yeah, they love to play games. And they used to say in the EVP, I got you. And I'll say, yeah, you did. A very good job. But thank you very much, because now you caught me on that once. You won't catch me on it again. Okay? And that's the way you've got to look at it. I've learned something new about myself today. I didn't realize that would affect me. And then you'll go along and you think, wow, I'm doing pretty good with this ascension process. I'm doing great. Nothing's bothering me. And then all of a sudden, boy, they can come in and smack you with something and think, holy mackerel, where'd that come from? But they're just, and I look at it, you can make it what you want. For me, it's now become a game. It really has. You see? And I think it's all part of our training. How many of you have sat with those little video games? And yet, if you look at the video game and compare it to what we're going through, and right now with this ascension, it's all the same thing, isn't it? In those video games, you start out with a character, avatar, whatever the case might be. And there are levels that you have to go through. And each one is jumping this or jumping that or getting through this level, getting through that. But then before you can finish that level, there's usually some kind of big episode, a boss or whatever that you've got to get through. It's like the finale of that area. And you get through it and you feel great and you go back to play the game again and it's like, oh my God. The next level is the same. This is the same. I used to play some of those games and I wondered why. And I think, okay, now I get it. Now I know why I played those games. Now I gotta start over. I'm at level 2. Why is it so much like level 1? Because that's the way your ascension is gonna be. Level 1 is getting kind of used to the idea, breaking through those things, that are hard to break through. Now comes level 2. All right? Level 2 is going to be the same, but now you've got some tools you've learned in level 1 to work with. Okay? And you might think, well, geez, on level 1 I learned about fear. Well, I've got that pretty much under control. I think I'm doing really good, but I thought that was it. Little did I know we had to go on now to something else. Okay? And that's kind of what the ascension process is. It's learning about the self. You may think that it's learning about the neighbors or maybe my job or, how to handle him doing that wrong or how to fix that person over there. It has nothing to do with anything out there. All that you're looking for, everything that will make you happy, content, feel whole, complete, is in here. But everybody's looking for that happiness, that content, in either their companion, who is not responsible for your happiness, okay? Or their children. I make that mistake. And they're not responsible for your happiness, or your content, or to be your companion. People look for it in their work. It's one thing to love your work, but to have your work define who you are as a person is another thing. So think about that. There are so many ways that people try to fulfill themselves, to make themselves happy. How much time can you spend totally alone and be content? Now, I have to be honest, probably 95% of my life is just totally myself. But I enjoy it. I'm not sitting here depressed because I'm by myself. That's the time when I spend with myself that I can learn about me. And the more I can learn about myself, and the more content I can be with who I am, the better I am for the people around me. Because then I'm stronger if they need me. Or they're going through something and I totally understand it because I've been there. Therefore, you can support somebody without it affecting you emotionally, without it draining you emotionally. Because you sit back and it's like watching a movie of where you've been. All right? So we've got to end this. We're at 14 minutes, and I like the time to say goodbye, and we'll see Teddy. And I name you I bless you. I name you. I bless you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Namaste.
May you be blessed till we meet again. Namaste.